I do want to get back to the latest here on the assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk.
President Trump just departed the White House to travel to the funeral of Charlie Kirk in Glendale, Arizona.
New details into out front about the man who allegedly murdered Charlie Kirk.
The fallout from Charlie Kirk's killing.
The suspect in the murder of conservative political activist Charlie Kirk.
An assassination in the middle of a live university event. One rifle shot, a crowd in panic, and a killer on the run. But within just 2 news cycles, investigators had their suspect. Rooftop surveillance, DNA traces, and unexpected clues. All of it came together in a manhunt that moved at breakneck speed. This video takes you through the full timeline of Charlie Kirk's assassination and the race to capture his shooter. Who was Charlie Kirk? Now, for those unaware, Charlie Kirk was a well-known conservative political activist. He co-founded Turning Point USA, an organization focused on rallying young people around conservative ideas. By September 2025, he had built a large following. The event we're talking about was the first stop of his American Comeback Tour, a series of speeches and debates across college campuses. On September 10th, 2025, that first stop happened at Utah Valley University in Orem, Utah. About 3,000 people gathered under a large tent in a courtyard on campus. The event was outdoor, midday, with minimal physical screening. Security was provided by his private team plus local campus police, but not to a level some experts say is typical for high-risk events. The debate kicked off around noon. Roughly 20 minutes in, a student asked Kirk how many mass shooters in the past decade were transgender.
Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years?
Then followed up asking how many mass shooters there were in total. Kirk answered, counting or not counting gang violence.
Counting or not counting gang violence.
Great.
Just before the moment everything changed, at about 12:23 p.m. local time, Kirk was shot in the neck. People near the stage saw Kirk fall back. He was taken to Timpanogos Regional Hospital. Despite surgical efforts, he passed away later that afternoon.
Charlie Kirk gunned down in front of a crowd at Utah Valley University. The state's governor calling it a political assassination.
I'll try to get through a word of prayer.
He was 31 years old. The details of the shooter. The shot was fired from the roof of the Low C Student Success Center, a building just across from where Kirk stood. But at over 100 meters away, this was, by no means, a simple trigger pull. It demanded a steady aim, proper calibration of the rifle's scope, and an understanding of how bullets travel over distance, factoring in wind, gravity, and shooting angle. As for the weapon, it was a high-powered bolt-action rifle, a Mauser .30-06 model. A bolt-action rifle means the shooter manually cycles the bolt to load each round and eject the spent casing. These rifles are known for accuracy at long ranges. Anyhow, witnesses also saw the figure on the rooftop, dressed in dark clothing, dark shirt, jeans, a mask. Surveillance footage later showed a silhouette carrying what looked like a long rifle. Soon after the shot, investigators locked down the rooftop of the Low C Student Success Center. They searched every inch for clues, and what they found quickly built the backbone of the case. A screwdriver, likely used to adjust the rifle or scope, carried DNA traces. A towel that had been wrapped around the weapon also tested positive for the same DNA. Around the firing spot, investigators spotted Converse-style shoe prints and palm imprints on the ledge, showing exactly where the shooter had positioned himself. The rifle itself wasn't left behind on the roof. Instead, it was discovered later in a wooded area north of campus, along with spent cartridges. Surveillance cameras and witness videos filled in the gaps. One recording caught the shooter climbing onto the roof before the event. Another showed him fleeing after the shot, moving through campus, then into the woods north of the area where the weapon was later found. As evidence piled up, authorities released surveillance images of the suspect to the public. That release turned out to be the turning point. When the suspect's parents saw the images, they recognized him immediately as their 22-year-old son, Tyler James Robinson.
It was Robinson's parents who first suspected it may, in fact, have been their son.
They contacted law enforcement through a local sheriff's deputy they knew from church. Then there was also digital evidence.
The roommate told police that the roommate received messages from Robinson about the shooting, and he did provide those messages to police.
Messages from the shooter's roommate and in Discord groups appeared to reference retrieving a rifle from a drop point, leaving it wrapped in a towel, using a scope, and observations of sightlines. Legal charges and motive status. After being arrested, Robinson was formally charged with multiple counts: aggravated murder, felony discharge of a firearm causing serious injury, obstruction of justice, witness tampering, and committing a violent offense in the presence of a child. Utah prosecutors indicated they will seek the death penalty,
I am filing a notice of intent to seek the death penalty,
arguing that Robinson targeted Kirk because of his political speech and knowing children were present. Investigators say Robinson's actions were shaped by political and ideological anger, but they haven't found a single detailed manifesto that clearly lays out his beliefs. What they do have is evidence from text messages and planning notes showing that Robinson thought Charlie Kirk was spreading hate. In one exchange, he wrote that he had had enough of it, and prosecutors say this shows he was not acting on impulse, but had been building toward the decision for days. Authorities also point to his relationship with a transgender roommate, which seems to have influenced his frustration with Kirk's outspoken positions on transgender and LGBTQ rights. Investigators also recovered bullet casings with engravings on them. These markings included anti-fascist slogans, references from online gaming culture, and other internet subculture symbols. While these don't amount to a full political program, they do signal that Robinson wanted to connect his act with certain online communities in symbolic language. Still, prosecutors are clear that they don't yet have a complete unified motive. There is no evidence of Robinson being part of an organized group, and his exact reasoning is still being pieced together. The court will ultimately decide how much weight these factors carry and whether they meet the standard for the death penalty prosecutors are pursuing. There's a lot more we'll learn as the trial moves forward. If you want to keep following every update, make sure you hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next video. Also, drop a comment below with your thoughts on the investigation so far.